Captain Marcus Hunter stood at the helm of the Artemis, Earth's most advanced research vessel, watching the unfamiliar stars drift by through the massive observation window. The ship's experimental quantum drive hummed softly, barely audible but present enough to remind everyone aboard that they were pushing the boundaries of human technology. Their mission was supposed to be simple: map the unexplored regions beyond the Kuiper Belt and gather data on potential habitable worlds. Nobody expected to find an alien civilization, let alone the most powerful empire in the galaxy. The first sign of trouble came when Lieutenant Olivia Drake, the ship's sensor specialist, detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of their scanning range. "Captain, you might want to see this," she called out, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display. "These readings, they're unlike anything in our database." Hunter moved to her station, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the screens. At 53, he had spent more time in space than most of his crew combined, but even he had never seen anything like this. The energy patterns pulsed with an alien rhythm, suggesting technology far beyond human understanding. "Can you identify the source?" Hunter asked, leaning closer to study the readings. Before Drake could answer, the ship's tactical officer, Zane Patel, shouted from his station. "Multiple contacts, large vessels just dropped out of something. It's not hyperspace as we know it." The observation window suddenly filled with the sight of massive ships, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly metal that seemed to absorb and reflect light simultaneously. They were beautiful in their alienness, but the numerous weapon emplacements visible on their surface left little doubt about their purpose. "Stealth systems engaged," First Officer Ray Tanaka announced calmly, her fingers dancing across the control panel. The Artemis's experimental cloaking technology, developed in secret by Earth's best scientists, activated instantly. The ship's outer hull shifted, adopting a complex metamaterial structure that bent light and other forms of radiation around it. But the alien ships had already spotted them. A transmission burst through their communication system, automatically translated by their AI. "Attention, primitive vessel. You have entered restricted Imperial space. Your technology level has been assessed as Class 3, marking you as a pre-FTL civilization. Prepare for immediate boarding and classification." Hunter exchanged glances with his bridge crew. The Empire, whoever they were, had severely underestimated humanity's capabilities. Earth had indeed achieved FTL travel years ago, but had kept it secret, along with numerous other technological breakthroughs. The classification as pre-FTL might just give them an advantage. "Dr. Kenzo," Hunter called to their chief scientist, "what can you tell me about their ships?" Dr. Yuki Kenzo, a brilliant quantum physicist with a reputation for thinking outside the box, studied the readings intently. "Their technology is advanced but predictable. They're using standardized systems across all ships. If we can crack one, we can crack them all." "How long do you need?" Kenzo's eyes lit up with the kind of excitement that usually preceded either a breakthrough or an explosion. "With the quantum computer, 5 minutes. Their encryption is complex but follows classical computing principles. They never expected to encounter quantum systems." The Imperial ships were moving to surround them, their formation suggesting they saw the Artemis as nothing more than a curiosity to be collected and studied. Their arrogance would be their undoing. "Lieutenant Drake, start passive scanning. I want to know everything about their systems. Dr. Kenzo, begin your analysis. Commander Tanaka, keep us just visible enough to maintain their interest but not so close they can grab us. Mr. Patel, ready our countermeasures but do not arm weapons. Let's not show our full hand just yet." The next 5 minutes were tense as the Imperial ships continued their approach. The largest vessel, presumably their flagship, launched what appeared to be automated boarding drones. The small, spherical machines moved with precise coordination, but their movements were almost mechanical in their predictability. "Captain," Kenzo called out, barely containing his excitement, "I've got it. Their entire command and control system is based on quantum-vulnerable encryption. One targeted pulse from our QED system will cascade through their entire network." Hunter allowed himself a small smile. Prepare the quantum entanglement disruptor. Target their command and control systems only. Let's show them humanity isn't as primitive as they think. The Artemis's QED system, a technology that even most of Earth's governments didn't know existed, powered up silently. The weapon didn't damage or destroy, it simply introduced chaos into highly ordered systems, turning military precision into digital confusion. QED ready, Patel reported. Fire. The pulse was invisible but devastating in its effect. The Imperial ships suddenly lost formation, their perfectly coordinated movements dissolving into chaos. The boarding drones stopped mid-flight, their programming scrambled by the quantum disruption. New transmission from the Imperial flagship, Drake announced, struggling to keep a straight face. They're demanding to know how a primitive species managed to disable their systems. Hunter stood from his chair, straightening his uniform. Open a channel. When Drake nodded, he spoke clearly and calmly. This is Captain Marcus Hunter of the Earth vessel Artemis. We apologize for the confusion, but we don't take kindly to being boarded without permission. Consider this a friendly warning. Humanity is not as primitive as you might think. We recommend you reconsider your classification of our species. The Imperial ships were already retreating, their formation in disarray. Their reputation for absolute control and technological superiority had just been shattered by a supposedly primitive species they had intended to subjugate. As the alien vessels disappeared into FTL, Hunter turned to his crew. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them humanity just made first contact and we made quite an impression. The bridge crew burst into laughter, the tension of the encounter finally breaking. They had just humiliated the greatest empire in the galaxy, and they had done it without firing a single destructive shot. But as Hunter watched the last Imperial ship vanish, he couldn't help but wonder what they had started. The Empire wouldn't take this humiliation lightly, and Earth would need to prepare. The age of humanity hiding in the cosmic shadows was over. The game had begun, and humanity had just made its opening move. Grand Marshal Thexan of the Galactic Empire stood before the High Council, his crystalline skin reflecting the harsh light of the chamber. The video recording of the Artemis incident played behind him, showing the humiliating defeat of an Imperial battle group by a single Earth vessel. The Council members' expressions ranged from outrage to disbelief. This primitive species, Thexan's voice resonated through the chamber, has made fools of us. Our initial assessment was catastrophically wrong. These humans not only possess advanced quantum technology, but have managed to keep it hidden from our surveillance networks for decades. High Counselor Vix, her serpentine form coiled around her hovering platform, spoke first. How did we miss this? Earth was classified as a Class 3 civilization barely capable of reaching their own moon. Because that's exactly what they wanted us to think, Thexan replied, gesturing to a new hologram showing Earth's solar system. Our latest deep scans reveal sophisticated cloaking fields around several of their outer system installations. They've been watching us, studying us, while pretending to be primitive. The council chamber erupted in angry murmurs. The Empire had never faced such deliberate deception. Their technological superiority had always been absolute, their authority unquestioned. Until now. I propose immediate military action, Thexan continued. We must crush this threat before. The chamber's emergency alert suddenly blared to life. A junior officer rushed in, his scales pale with anxiety. Grand Marshal, we've lost contact with the Centauri outpost, all 40 ships, just gone. Thexan's crystalline form darkened with rage. The humans were already moving against them, and with devastating efficiency. Meanwhile, aboard the ECS Hyperion, Admiral Juniper Rhodes received the after-action report from Captain Hunter. The Artemis's encounter had forced their hand, but it had also proven that humanity's strategic approach was correct. Status of Operation Phantom Strike? Rhodes asked, addressing the holographic representations of Earth's military leadership. General Viktor Petrov, commander of Earth's Ghost Fleet, spoke first. The Centauri outpost has been neutralized. No casualties on either side. We used the mass-deployed QED weapons just as planned. Their ships are trapped in a quantum lock, crews unharmed but completely immobilized. And the data extraction. Dr. Indira Patel, head of Earth's Quantum Intelligence Division, smiled. Complete success. We now have access to a significant portion of their strategic network. The Empire's encryption might be advanced, but it's still based on principles we surpassed years ago. Rhodes nodded, studying the tactical display showing the position of Earth's hidden fleets. For decades, humanity had prepared for this moment, building ships and weapons in secret, always staying one step ahead of Imperial detection. What about the diplomatic initiative? Rhodes turned to Ambassador Chen Wei, Earth's newly appointed representative to the galactic community. Several subjugated species have already made contact through secure channels, Chen replied. The Arcturians, the Proxima Coalition, even the Sirius Concordat, they've all suffered under Imperial rule, and our success has given them hope. They're willing to help. Rhodes allowed herself a small smile. The Empire's greatest weakness wasn't technological. It was their absolute certainty of their own superiority. They had created an entire galaxy of potential allies for humanity, all waiting for a chance to break free. New contact, Lieutenant Commander Jackson announced from his tactical station. Multiple Imperial signatures detected. They're launching a major offensive against the Sol system. The tactical display lit up with hundreds of Imperial warships, their formation suggesting they had learned from their previous encounter. They were adapting, but so would humanity. Time to show them what we can really do, Rhodes said. Execute Operation Hydra. Across the solar system, hidden installations activated. Quantum entanglement fields sprang to life, creating a vast network of interconnected defense systems. Ships emerged from dimensional pockets where they had been hidden, their designs unlike anything the Empire had encountered. The Imperial fleet approached Earth's solar system with overwhelming force, expecting to find a single world with limited defenses. Instead, they found themselves facing a carefully prepared battlefield, decades in the making. Message from the Imperial flagship, Jackson reported. Grand Marshal Thexan demands our immediate surrender. Send them our response, Rhodes ordered. The same package we prepared. The transmission that reached the Imperial fleet contained not threats or demands, but irrefutable evidence of the Empire's atrocities against other species, their suppression of technological advancement, their deliberate stifling of cultural growth. Along with it went an offer: surrender and face justice, or witness the full extent of humanity's capabilities. They're responding, Jackson announced. They're launching their first wave. Rhodes watched as the Imperial ships advanced. They were powerful, technically superior in many ways, but they were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology. It was their ability to adapt, to think differently, to turn weakness into strength. All ships execute attack pattern Omega, Rhodes commanded. Show them why humanity has survived every challenge we've ever faced. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries as the moment when the galaxy's balance of power shifted. Human ships, smaller but more agile, executed maneuvers that the Empire's tactical computers classified as impossible. Quantum weapons fired, not to destroy but to disable, each shot carefully calculated to minimize casualties while maximizing strategic impact. As the Imperial fleet's formation began to break apart, Rhodes received a priority message from Earth Command. More species were rising up against the Empire, inspired by humanity's resistance. The carefully maintained facade of Imperial invincibility was cracking. They're retreating, Jackson announced, surprise evident in his voice. The entire fleet is pulling back. Rhodes watched the Imperial ships flee, knowing this was just the beginning. The Empire would return, stronger and more prepared. But humanity would be ready, and they wouldn't be fighting alone. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had just ensured they would have a say in its future. The Empire had made a crucial mistake. They had assumed technological superiority guaranteed victory. They were about to learn that the human spirit, combined with human ingenuity, was a force that could reshape the galaxy itself. Deep within the Uit cloud, in a region of space the Empire's sensors couldn't penetrate, Earth's greatest secret was finally being unveiled. The Ghost Fleet, humanity's true military force, emerged from its quantum shadows. Hundreds of ships, each representing the pinnacle of human ingenuity, moved into formation around the flagship Prometheus. Fleet Admiral Diana Reyes watched from the Prometheus's bridge as the ships shed their dimensional cloaks. Each vessel was a masterpiece of engineering, designed not just to fight the Empire, but to completely redefine the rules of engagement. "Status report on the Revelation Protocol," Reyes commanded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the fleet's deployment. Commander Raj Kapoor, the fleet's strategic operations officer, brought up a detailed hologram. "All ships report ready, Admiral. The quantum network is fully synchronized, and the Babel protocol is active. The Empire won't be able to crack our communications this time." The Babel protocol was just one of many innovations humanity had developed during their decades of preparation. It used quantum entanglement not just for secure communications, but to create an ever-shifting language of algorithms that even the Empire's most advanced AI couldn't decipher. "Message from Station Olympus," Lieutenant Naomi Zhang announced from her communications station. "Dr. Marcus Winter is ready to begin the briefing." The main view screen activated, showing the aged but sharp features of humanity's leading quantum physicist. Dr. Winter had been the architect of many of Earth's most revolutionary technologies, including the dimensional cloaking systems that had kept the Ghost Fleet hidden for so long. "Admiral Reyes," Winter began, "the Empire's recent attack has confirmed our theories. Their technology, while advanced, is fundamentally limited by their reliance on traditional physics. They never made the breakthrough into quantum mechanics the way we did." Reyes nodded. "That's why they never detected our fleet." "Exactly, but there's more." Winter's expression grew animated. "We've analyzed the data from their recent attack. Their ships use a form of faster-than-light travel that tears through space-time. Effective, but incredibly wasteful and detectable from light years away. Our quantum slip drives are not only more efficient, but practically invisible to their sensors." The briefing was interrupted by an urgent alert. Lieutenant Zhang's hands flew across her console. "Admiral, we're picking up a distress signal. It's from the Arcturian resistance." The Arcturians had been among the first to ally with Earth after the initial encounter with the Empire. Their civilization, once proud and technologically advanced, had been subjugated by the Empire centuries ago. Now they were fighting back, inspired by humanity's success. "Put it through," Reyes ordered. The distress signal revealed a desperate situation. The Empire had launched a massive assault on the Arcturian homeworld, attempting to crush the rebellion before it could spread. But something was different about this attack. "They're using new weapons," Commander Kapoor observed, analyzing the tactical data. "They've adapted their technology based on what they learned from our previous encounters." Reyes studied the situation. The Empire was learning, evolving their tactics. It was exactly what humanity had predicted and prepared for. "Signal the fleet," she commanded. "Begin Operation Thunderbolt." The Ghost Fleet moved with unprecedented coordination, their quantum slip drives activating in perfect synchronization. Unlike the Empire's brutal tear through space-time, the human ships simply shifted, appearing in the Arcturian system as if they had always been there. The Imperial fleet, numbering over 1,000 ships, was caught completely off guard. They had expected to face primitive resistance from the Arcturians. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by vessels that seemed to defy the laws of physics themselves. "All ships execute attack pattern Hydra," Reyes ordered. "Deploy the Chimera drones." The Chimera drones were another product of human innovation, quantum-linked swarms of small, highly maneuverable craft that could adapt their tactics in real time. As they launched from the Ghost Fleet's ships, they immediately began analyzing and countering Imperial defense systems. "Empire is responding," Zhang reported. They're trying to copy our quantum communication protocols." Dr. Winter's laughter echoed through the bridge. Let them try. The Babel protocol isn't just a code, it's a living algorithm. The more they try to understand it, the more it evolves. The battle unfolded unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Ghost fleet moved with impossible precision, their quantum-linked systems allowing them to coordinate in ways the Empire couldn't comprehend. The Chimera drones danced through Imperial formations, their adaptive programming running circles around the Empire's rigid tactical algorithms. But the Empire's raw power was still formidable. Their ships, while less advanced in some ways, were incredibly well-built and heavily armed. They began to adapt, their massive fleet attempting to overwhelm humanity's technological advantage with sheer numbers. "They're learning faster than expected," Kapoor warned. "Their AI is starting to predict some of our patterns." Reyes smiled. "Then it's time for Phase 2, signal the Arcturian defense grid." Across the Arcturian system, ancient defense platforms suddenly activated. The Empire had always assumed they were defunct, remnants of a conquered civilization. They never realized that Earth had secretly helped the Arcturians restore and upgrade them with quantum technology. The platforms came online simultaneously, creating a vast quantum entanglement field that encompassed the entire battlefield. Imperial ships found their carefully calculated formations disrupted as space itself seemed to twist around them. "Message from the Imperial flagship," Zhang announced. "They're demanding to know what we've done to their navigation systems." "Send them our standard response," Reyes ordered. The response was simple, an offer of surrender, along with a comprehensive analysis of everything the Empire had done wrong in the battle so far. It was psychological warfare at its finest, demonstrating not just that humanity could beat them, but that we understood their tactics better than they did themselves. The Imperial fleet began to retreat, their once-perfect formation now in shambles. But Reyes knew this victory, while significant, was just another step in a longer game. The Empire would analyze this defeat, adapt their strategies, develop new technologies. But that was exactly what humanity was counting on. Because every time the Empire adapted, they moved further from their rigid, hierarchical ways of thinking. Without realizing it, they were beginning to change, to think more like humans, creative, adaptable, innovative. As the Ghost fleet secured the Arcturian system, Reyes received reports of more systems rising up against the Empire. The galaxy was changing, and humanity's hidden fleet had just ensured that change would be permanent. "Send word to Earth," Reyes ordered. "Tell them Phase 3 can begin. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do." The true revolution wouldn't be won through technology alone, but through the spread of ideas. And humanity's greatest idea, that innovation and adaptation were more powerful than rigid control, was already beginning to reshape the galaxy. In the depths of Earth's Quantum Intelligence Center, Operation Mockingbird was about to change the course of the galactic war. Director Nadia Volkov stood before a wall of holographic displays, each showing different aspects of their most ambitious psychological operation yet. "Begin Phase 1 of Operation Mockingbird," she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. The operation represented years of preparation, a campaign designed not to destroy the Empire, but to make it destroy itself. Dr. Thomas Blackwood, Earth's leading expert in xenopsychology, pulled up a detailed analysis of Imperial social structures. "The Empire's greatest weakness isn't their technology," he explained to the assembled team. "It's their absolute certainty in their own superiority. We're going to use that against them." The first stage of Operation Mockingbird was already in motion. Throughout Imperial space, carefully crafted pieces of classified information began to leak through their supposedly secure networks. Each leak suggested that the Empire's leadership had been infiltrated by human agents decades ago. "Status report," Volkov demanded, watching as the operation unfolded. Lieutenant Jin Park, head of digital warfare, grinned as he monitored the Imperial communications networks. "They're taking the bait. Imperial security is already launching internal investigations. 3 high counselors have been placed under surveillance." The beauty of Operation Mockingbird lay in its simplicity. They didn't need to actually infiltrate the Imperial leadership. They just had to make the Empire think they had. The paranoia would do the rest. "Signal from Ghost Fleet Command," announced Captain Fatima Hassan, their liaison with the military. "Admiral Reyes reports that Imperial fleet movements are becoming erratic. They're splitting their forces to guard against suspected infiltration points." Exactly as planned. The Empire's rigid hierarchy was turning against itself, each level suspecting the others of being compromised. But this was just the beginning. "Initiate Phase 2, Volkov ordered. Phase 2 was even more insidious. Using quantum-encrypted channels, Earth began broadcasting secret communications between supposed human agents within the Empire. The messages were carefully crafted to be just difficult enough to decrypt that Imperial intelligence would think they had succeeded in breaking the code. "They're intercepting the transmissions," Park reported. "Their cryptanalysis teams are working exactly as predicted. They think they're breaking our codes, but they're actually receiving exactly what we want them to see." The false intelligence painted a picture of human infiltration so deep and so long-standing that it seemed impossible. And yet, given humanity's demonstrated capabilities, the Empire couldn't dismiss it. How else could a supposedly primitive species have developed such advanced technology in secret? Dr. Blackwood monitored the psychological impact through their network of informants and allies. The Empire's military structure is starting to fracture. Fleet commanders are refusing orders, suspecting their superiors of being compromised. Some are even beginning to question the fundamental principles of Imperial superiority. That was the true target of Operation Mockingbird, not the Empire's military might, but its unshakable belief in its own destiny to rule. Once that certainty began to crack, the entire structure would begin to crumble. "Message from the Sirius Concordat," Hassan announced. "Their intelligence services report growing unrest in Imperial core worlds. The population is starting to question the official narratives." Volkov allowed herself a small smile. The Empire had maintained control through a careful balance of technological superiority and cultural dominance. Now both were being undermined simultaneously. "Begin Phase 3, she ordered. The final phase was the most audacious. Using advanced quantum computing, Earth began inserting evidence of human influence into the Empire's historical records. Subtle changes, dating back centuries, suggesting that humanity had been guiding Imperial development all along. "They're finding the altered records," Park reported. "Imperial historians are going into a frenzy. Some are claiming that the entire Empire might have been a human experiment from the beginning." The theory was absurd, of course, but that didn't matter. The seed of doubt had been planted, and in the Empire's rigid, hierarchical society, doubt was more devastating than any weapon. "New development," Hassan called out. "We're receiving transmissions from within the Empire. Multiple worlds are requesting secret negotiations with Earth. They're not just questioning Imperial authority, they're actively seeking to break away." This was the true purpose of Operation Mockingbird, not to destroy the Empire through force, but to dismantle it from within by turning its own nature against itself. The more the Empire tried to maintain control, the more systems would slip through its fingers. "Director," Dr. Blackwood interjected, "we're detecting an unexpected pattern. Some Imperial commanders aren't just breaking away, they're beginning to adopt human-style tactical doctrines. They're learning to think like us." Volkov nodded. This too had been predicted. The Empire's greatest flaw was its inability to adapt, to think creatively. By forcing them to confront an enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere, they were inadvertently teaching Imperial forces to think outside their rigid protocols. "Message from Earth Command," Hassan announced. "The Arcturian rebellion has succeeded. 3 more systems have declared independence. The Empire's outer rim is beginning to collapse." The Empire was facing a choice: adapt or die. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had proven that superior technology and overwhelming force meant nothing without the creativity and adaptability to use them effectively. "Final phase," Volkov commanded. Transmit the truth package. This was the masterstroke. A comprehensive data burst to every system in Imperial space, revealing the entire Operation Mockingbird deception. It would show them that a supposedly inferior species had orchestrated the greatest psychological operation in galactic history. The Empire's own arrogance was the key to their undoing, Dr. Blackwood observed. They never imagined that a primitive species could manipulate them so completely. As reports flooded in of more systems breaking away from Imperial control, Volkov looked at the galactic map. The mighty Empire was unraveling, not through force of arms, but through the power of doubt, creativity, and human ingenuity. The war wasn't over, but its outcome was now certain. The Empire would either transform or collapse, and humanity would help build something new from its remains. Not an empire of control and rigid hierarchy, but a galaxy of innovation, adaptation, and endless possibility. The imperial capital world of Coronax Prime burned with the light of 1,000 suns, not from destruction, but from the quantum anomalies that riddled its space. The combined fleets of Earth, the Arcturian Alliance, and the breakaway Imperial forces had surrounded the heart of the Empire, but this final battle would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Grand Admiral Marcus Hunter, promoted after his first encounter with the Empire aboard the Artemis, stood on the bridge of the flagship Terran Dawn. The ship, humanity's most advanced vessel, represented everything they had achieved since that fateful first contact. "Status of the Imperial Defense Grid?" Hunter asked, studying the tactical display showing the massive confrontation about to unfold. Commander Akiko Yamamoto, his tactical officer, brought up a detailed analysis. "Their remaining loyal forces have consolidated around Coronax Prime. They've adapted their shields to resist our quantum weapons, but," she smiled, "they're still thinking linearly." The Empire had learned much during the war, but they still couldn't break free from their fundamental nature. They had tried to counter human technology by making their existing systems stronger, rather than embracing truly new ways of thinking. "Message from the Imperial Palace," Lieutenant Darius Cole announced from communications. "Grand Marshal Thexan is demanding our unconditional surrender." Hunter shared a knowing look with his bridge crew. After everything that had happened, the Empire still couldn't comprehend that they weren't fighting a conventional war. "Send them our response," he ordered. "Executive Protocol Omega." Throughout the Imperial Defense Grid, quantum triggers that had been planted months ago through Operation Mockingbird activated. The Empire's mighty shields didn't fail, they simply changed. Years of subtle infiltration and psychological warfare had led to this moment. "Multiple contacts," Yamamoto reported. "Imperial ships are powering down their weapons." On the main view screen, the image of Grand Marshal Thexan appeared. His crystalline form had lost its luster, showing the strain of months of paranoia and internal conflict. "What have you done?" Thexan demanded. "Our systems they're not responding correctly. Everything is wrong." Dr. Indira Patel, now Earth's Minister of Quantum Sciences, stepped into view beside Hunter. "Your systems are working perfectly, Grand Marshal. They're just working for us now. They always have been." It was humanity's ultimate deception. While Operation Mockingbird had made the Empire believe they were infiltrated, the real infiltration had been happening at a much deeper level. Every time they had adapted their technology to counter human tactics, they had unknowingly integrated quantum triggers into their most basic systems. "You don't understand what you've done," Thexan warned. "The Empire maintains order. Without us, the galaxy will fall into chaos." "No," Hunter replied calmly. "The galaxy will evolve. That's what you never understood. Order doesn't come from control, it comes from adaptation, from growth, from change." As if to emphasize his point, more Imperial ships began powering down their weapons. Not from external control, but from choice. The Empire's own officers, exposed to new ways of thinking through months of conflict with humanity, were making their own decisions. "Signal from the Imperial High Council," Cole announced. They're requesting terms of surrender." But Hunter knew that simple surrender wasn't enough. Humanity hadn't fought this war just to become the new empire. "Send them our proposal," he ordered, "the full package." The proposal was transmitted across all frequencies, to every world in imperial space. It wasn't a demand for submission, but an invitation to join something new, a galactic alliance based not on control and hierarchy, but on innovation and cooperation. "They're responding," Cole reported, surprise evident in his voice. "Multiple systems are accepting the proposal. The High Council. They're voting to dissolve the Empire." On thousands of worlds across the galaxy, people who had lived under imperial rule for generations watched as their civilization transformed. The mighty empire, which had seemed eternal and unshakable, was choosing to become something new. "Message from Earth Command," Cole announced. "They're ready to proceed with the final phase." Hunter nodded. "Activate the gateway." In the space above Coronax Prime, humanity revealed its greatest achievement. A massive quantum gateway sparked to life, creating a stable wormhole network that would connect all willing worlds in the galaxy. The technology had existed for months, but humanity had waited, knowing that true change had to come from choice, not force. "Your civilization doesn't have to end," Hunter told Thexan. "It can transform, join us, help us build something better than an empire." The former Grand Marshal was silent for a long moment, his crystalline form shifting colors as he processed everything that had happened. Finally, he spoke. Perhaps it is time for change." In the days that followed, the galaxy witnessed something unprecedented. The Empire didn't fall in fire and destruction, but transformed through choice and understanding. The rigid hierarchies gave way to new forms of cooperation. The strictly controlled technologies were opened for shared development. Humanity's greatest victory wasn't in defeating the Empire, but in showing the galaxy a new way forward. They had proven that true power didn't come from control or domination, but from creativity, adaptability, and the willingness to embrace change. 1 month later, Hunter stood in the newly established Alliance Council chamber, watching representatives from hundreds of worlds, former imperial systems, independent planets, and Earth's allies work together to shape their shared future. "Did you ever imagine it would end like this?" Dr. Patel asked, joining him at the observation window. Hunter smiled, remembering that first encounter aboard the Artemis. "Not an ending," he corrected. "A beginning. We showed them that the galaxy's greatest strength isn't in controlling order, but in embracing chaos and learning to dance with it." Beyond the council chamber's windows, the quantum gateway network sparkled with constant activity, connecting worlds that had once been separated by imperial decree. Ships of all designs moved freely through space, sharing technologies and ideas that had been restricted for generations. The Empire had thought they were the pinnacle of civilization. Instead, they had been a stepping stone to something greater. Humanity hadn't just changed the galaxy's political structure, they had sparked a fundamental shift in how civilizations could grow and interact. The future was uncertain, chaotic, and full of possibilities, just the way humanity liked it.